The GIF is one of the internet's most loyal friends. And the story of people trying to make money off the GIF is one that goes back to the earliest days of the internet. The graphics interchange format was invented by this guy in 1987. He, by the way, pronounces it GIF. It wasn't long before people tried to use this technology for business. The biggest operation was a website called Animation Factory, which produced and sold GIFs of every imaginable variety.
It seems like they set out to try and animate the entire world, starting with the sort of most arcane and bizarre ideas they could think of.
That's Alex Goldman. He's the co-host of one of my favorite podcasts called Reply All. He recently ran a story about Animation Factory's rise in the late 90s.
I gotta say my favorite is there is a faceless man, and he's sort of wriggling, and floating above him is a UFO. There are tens of thousands. The owners say that there's something like 500,000 GIFs on the site. It's just an insane amount. There was a time on the internet when these animated GIFs were the thing you would decorate your website with. There was no aesthetic for the internet.
Who knows who needed this image of a guy with an automatic hammer machine, but someone did, and Animation Factory was there to make it.
The business model of Animation Factory was, if there's something that someone may have wanted one of, we're gonna make 15 of that thing. Amazingly, that was a viable business strategy in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Alex said that he heard from someone who was on the board of the company that owned Animation Factory in the early 2000s.
He told me that Animation Factory, in its heyday, was making about $2 million a year in profits. I mean, the internet of the late 90s and early 2000s was a pre-blog world. It was before the internet had templates that allowed people to easily make attractive-looking blogs.
But the internet matured, and by the mid-2000s, web design was informed by professional standards. Blogs showed up with their standardized templates, and GIFs lost their place as the design elements and placeholders on the web. Then something started happening around the late 2000s that would pave the way for a GIF renaissance. Bandwidth improved, and people started making GIFs out of existing video content, not for web design purposes, but solely as a mode of expression. The rise of places like Tumblr and Reddit meant there was more places to put these little bite-sized expressions. GIFs were back. The GIF renaissance also spurred on some huge business ventures surrounding the potentially lucrative GIF economy.
We're biologically wired for visual consumption and communication.
That's Adam Liebson, the chief operating officer of Giffy, which is the biggest of the new GIF companies. They're basically a GIF search engine, and they plan to make money by partnering with huge brands to create GIFs of that brand's content that people can share in their day-to-day communication.
So traditionally, an advertiser would have to spend a lot of money to get their message through the market. And they're using all of this stuff to interrupt your experience, and they're just hoping that that message will sink in. And we're making it a bottom-up approach, in that we're making this content accessible and expressive. People are taking those branded objects, that piece of Game of Thrones, that clip of Seinfeld, and they're sending it to their friend. Instead of the brand shoving the message down somebody's throat, people are the ones being their brand ambassadors. They're self-identifying with the content because they selected it, they're endorsing it because they sent it to you, and you're both bonding over it emotionally because you're using it to communicate.
So while you might send a GIF of Zach Braff expressing exactly what you need to tell a friend, Hulu sees this as advertising for their show Scrubs. If advertisers are looking for engagement with their content, it doesn't get much better than this. Big production studios see this as a way of sneaking little advertisements into your email and text feeds, and they may be willing to pay big bucks for partnerships with places like Giffy. But as of now, there are no paid GIFs on the site. And Giffy says that they don't have specific plans on if or how they will mark sponsored GIFs as advertisements. For now, they seem to be focused on making GIFs ubiquitous and accessible on every communication platform.
You can't buy an ad, you can't buy an ad inside of our iMessage conversation. That's just never going to happen.
And venture capitalists seem to think that this is a safe bet as well. Giffy is valued at $300 million, even though it doesn't even make money yet.
Everyone's searching for content anyways. Everyone's searching for expressive content. Hello, goodbye, how are you? They're really searching for that content translated or sort of through the lens of whatever is the cultural phenomenon of the moment, whether it's Game of Thrones or some other new movie or some other big TV show. From an advertising standpoint, what we're suggesting is we should just be doing more of that.